Hello and welcome to the Share It with Ishani podcast. And I'm Ishani Gupta, radio anchor and a public speaking coach. Here's a reminder, don't forget to subscribe to my channel because I share public speaking tips and effective communication tips on my channel. And besides, my podcast episode is released every single Saturday. I'm sure by the end of this particular episode, you are going to be so much inspired and motivated that whatever you might be undergoing currently, whatever challenges you might be facing right now, you'll get that energy, that inspiration to go forward with your mission, with your goals. Because today on my episode, I have Angela Legh, who is an author as well as a self-development mentor. Hi, Angela. Please welcome to my show.
How are you today?
I'm doing great, and I'm so honored that you are currently on my show. You'll be sharing your story. You'll be talking about your journey so far. So I really want you to share, how did you start your journey as an author and as well as a self-development mentor? Yeah.
Yeah. I was a wife, a mother, and a middle management government official.
Oh, okay.
That was my before life.
Okay.
What happened, the first trigger that caused me to create change in my life was a wildfire that happened in 2017. And this fire in Northern California was so big and so voracious that people across the world heard about it. There were 5,000 homes destroyed in our community on that night. So, 5,000 families all of a sudden had nowhere to live. And for me, I had this thought like, oh my God, I'm homeless. But I have resources because I had money in the bank and we had insurance. So I wasn't hopeless, but I was homeless. And it was, for the next 6 months, I had to deal with insurance. I had to imagine this. If you open one drawer or one cabinet and in your mind list everything that's in it, and then multiply that by every drawer, every cabinet, every closet in your house. And that's what I had to do, to recreate a list of everything that we owned. And that was a little bit traumatic for me to
Obviously.
have to remember everything. Finding housing was really hard because all the community had 5,000 less homes in it. And so finding a rental was extremely difficult. And just getting settled and getting back into everyday life. Every single day I would be doing something, cooking or getting dressed or putting makeup on, and I'd be like, oh, I don't have that. I think of a thing I need and I'm like, oh, I haven't bought that yet. So it was I say it's like the rug was pulled out from under us. And at the time I was still married. What I realized, when all the material things in my life were gone, when there was no book club and even work, everything shut down for a while. People couldn't even go to work. So there was no work, no book club, no things to keep me busy. And all I had was the relationship. But that was a toxic relationship. It was emotionally abusive. And I came to the realization that I needed, if I was going to find happiness in my life, I needed to leave my marriage. That was the hardest decision I ever made. I loved him, and I didn't feel like I could hurt him by leaving.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to choose myself, because by staying, I was hurting both him and me. It was toxic. We both contributed to that behavior. So I left. And then a few months later, I had an opportunity to go to Europe. And I was working at the time, I submitted a vacation request. And what happened with the fire was I had to take a lot of time off work in order to go shopping and buy things and find housing and do all this stuff. So when I submitted the vacation request a few months later, they said no.
Okay.
And I weighed, what is going to fill my life? Is it to stay here and keep on working and stay in the rut that I have been in? Or is it to spread my wings and try going on my own? So I quit that job and went to Europe.
You have been taking one and the every bold step one by one. Oh my God. You are such a strong woman.
Either that or I'm a crazy woman, one or the other.
I guess we need to be crazy sometimes to get that life.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
There's a teacher that I had, Preston Smiles, and he talks about uncertainty. He talks about what he calls the comfort couch. And he says that people sit on the comfort couch, they sit on their couch, they know what it is, they know what to expect, they're comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And in their mind, they build a castle, a fairy tale castle on the other side of the room. And they really want to live in that castle. And they desire to be in that castle, but they're on the couch and it's comfortable.
Yeah.
He says 10% will get off the couch, and then they're going to encounter adversity as they're crossing the room towards their fairy tale castle. And 90% of the ones that got off the couch, when they're facing this adversity, they're going to run back to the couch. Yeah. And what I've learned is that we when we can be comfortable with uncertainty, comfortable with discomfort, that's when we grow. That's when we can reach that fairy tale castle.
True words. We should be living by these words. Actually,
it's not always easy to do, though.
Yeah, that is the thing. That is where everybody is struggling.
Yeah, and some of the adversity that came up was I ended up putting all of my savings into trying to make my children's books successful. Okay. And it's like I invest tens and tens of thousands of dollars, and then I make $70. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's the kind of adversity that would cause many people to run back to the comfort couch. but I believe in what I'm doing. I believe in my message. I believe that I can create positive change in the world with these books. And so I keep going.
Wow. So, when was it when you started off with only like selling only a few books, making only $70, and now how is it going?
Sales are growing
Growing.
now,
Okay.
and the the first book was published in October. So between October and February,
Okay, last October last year. Okay.
that's when I only made $71.
Okay.
Now I switched publishers, and I should get my first check from the new publisher in
Wow.
a few days. So
Wow. Congratulations.
we'll see how it's going now.
That's a wonderful growth, I would say. Like, to start with, even $70, $71 is a lot, because I know I too started just a few months back with my coaching in public speaking, and now I'm in the same adversity phase.
Yeah, and if we keep going,
yeah,
we have the intent of helping. We have the intent of serving humanity.
yeah,
We cannot fail because we're here to help.
We're here to help.
Yeah. So we just have to keep going.
That is true. So now, after talking about your book, could you please repeat the name of the book that you are, selling?
Yeah. I've written a series. It's called the Bella Santini Chronicles.
Yeah.
And the first book is Bella Santini in the Land of Everlasting Change. And it's available on Amazon in, I think, 16 countries. So okay. I'm pretty sure in India. Yeah.
That's
but
wonderful.
It is in English because I haven't translated it yet.
Yeah, we Indians, we know we can easily, we love English books. I have read a lot of novels, and since my school days, I love reading. Yeah. I would love to read your book as well. And you've talked about being a self-development mentor. So what is it about? So is it for children? Is it for adults? And what is it like?
So my mentorship can be for adults or children. And whatever, I say that I work with the child, but for adults, I work with the inner child. For children, I work with the child.
Okay, yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. And the difference, so my books are, I didn't realize it until I was halfway through writing the first book.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was doing was building the life lessons that I had into the storyline. So resilience, emotional resilience, bouncing back after a fire, after emotional abuse, after a near drowning in the Atlantic Ocean. All of the things that I learned from that are built into the storyline. And really, it's the same things I teach in mentoring.
Okay.
But it's wrapped in the book, it's wrapped in an engaging story.
Okay, that's beautiful. So you have said that feeling all of your emotions is critical to happiness. Can you elaborate upon this? This is a very interesting line.
Oh, yeah. I had to reflect on my childhood and the interactions that I had with my ex-husband.
Yeah.
over the last couple of years. And what I realized is that because my father was an alcoholic and he was extremely angry. His rage was palpable and he terrified us kids. My aunt told me just a couple of years ago that her brother was a very sensitive kid. And his parents, their parents, kept telling him he wasn't good enough, that he was a failure, he would never make it. So he had all these painful feelings of being not enough. Mm-hmm. He escaped those feelings through alcohol. His behavior while drunk caused painful feelings for not only us, but himself. Yeah. And it is when we try to escape a painful feeling, or when we engage in a painful feeling, we are creating a prison cell for us. Because the escape into alcohol for my dad just grew and grew. And he eventually died being an alcoholic.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And if he had been taught how to face that feeling of being unworthy and be with it, allow that feeling, to accept that feeling, all of the pain that I experienced as a child, my sisters, my mother, he experienced, all of that pain could have been avoided. And so sometimes the mechanism we choose to escape those feelings can kill us. And I think of substance abuse, self-harming, and suicide. And those are all ways people escape painful feelings.
Yeah. That is such a strong message. I know, like, so many of us go through such feelings of not being worthy enough, not being good enough, because the society around us often, without even realizing, they would tell us that you're not worthy enough, directly or indirectly, even without knowing. And that just comes and gets into our minds. And sometimes
we grab onto that feeling.
Yeah.
And we don't mean to. It's just, we may have been told as a child. And when an adult is talking to a child, the child believes everything the adult says. Mm-hmm. So what I teach people in mentoring is that we do not see the world as it is. We see it as we are. So we are all carrying filters that we look through. And that is how we see our reality. When we can think about an adult who told us something critical when we were a kid, and we realize that that adult was seeing the world through the filters they carry, we can understand that what they said tells more about who they are than it ever said about us.
Yeah, so true. Yeah.
And that little teeny perspective shift can be very freeing. The other thing that I help people with is to have them imagine themselves as that little kid hearing from this other person that they're not good enough. Mm-hmm. And imagine their best friend coming in and telling them a new truth about them. Because our best friends are not going to agree with that we're not enough. They're going to say, oh my gosh, no, you're wonderful. And so when we can, in our imagination, picture
Yeah.
this new truth for ourselves and then choose, I'm going to live this new truth. That can be a very powerful exercise.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing this perspective. Like, often we forget when we are living our lives and going through the same thing. We are sometimes robotic, living a monotonous life, and we don't even realize that the thoughts that we are having, they are so repetitive, and they sometimes don't serve us at all.
And often the thoughts aren't our own. They were fed to us by others
Yeah.
who were seeing the world as they are.
Yeah. This is
Yeah.
a brand new way of looking. So thanks a lot for sharing this perspective.
I have one other tool that I'm going to share, and this is very powerful because what I have learned is that being neutral to your feelings is the key to happiness. So the biochemistry of a feeling lasts for 90 seconds. Anything longer than that means that our minds have engaged in the idea of the feeling. And that means our minds have grasped onto that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Often our minds will push away a feeling. I can't feel that. I don't want to feel that. And it is the rejection or engagement of a feeling that causes the feeling to stay with us. When we can be neutral to a feeling, the feeling flows and goes away. So the technique that I teach is called AAA, and that it was named that by Dr. Donald Epstein of Epienergetics, and he's a very powerful teacher. The method, when you are faced with a good or a painful feeling, it doesn't matter. When you're faced with a feeling, to be in neutrality, you're aware of the feeling, aware,
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge the feeling. Oh my gosh, I'm feeling whatever. And then accept the feeling.
Okay.
The feeling isn't going to kill us. Just
Mm-hmm.
let it go. Accept it. It's okay for you to feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Easy and hard.
Aware, acknowledge, and accept. AAA method.
Yep.
Yeah.
AAA.
Wow.
That's it.
That's so wonderful. So easy to remember. But yeah, it needs practice.
It's because in a way we're programmed to repress or reject feelings. Parents will tell kids, don't cry. And that message is don't feel. And they don't mean anything by it. They're just stressed. They're just trying to live life. But a message that would be better is, hey, I know you're feeling whatever. It's okay for you to feel that way. And we're here in the grocery store. Can you control yourself for now until we get out to the car?
Yeah. So it really makes a difference how you rephrase your words and say it to a person. Otherwise, it just gives out a wrong message. That too,
well, our
inadvertently.
Words carry. Yeah. When you think about what you were told as a child and the effect that those words had on your life.
Mm-hmm.
Our words carry so much power, and we would benefit by being really intentful on what we say to people.
Yeah, so true. So now I would like to ask you that what is your greatest advice to those who are currently undergoing some or the other challenges in life? So what is your greatest advice to them?
That would be to breathe, to know you're doing the best you can right now. When you're in the middle of a crisis or hardship or adversity, when you're in the trenches of that, a lot of times you cannot have a higher perspective of what's going on. So breathe and know you're doing the best. And for me, I know if I stayed in my marriage, I never would have come to the understandings that I have now, because I would have been in the war. And in the war, I couldn't create the change. I had to remove myself from the battlefield in order to have the growth that I could become where I am. So while you're in the battlefield, give yourself grace.
Yeah.
Because it's hard and you're doing the best you can. But know also, sometimes you need to get off the battlefield in order to be able to do the perspective shifts and make the change.
Yeah. That's so wonderful. Beautiful words from you, Angela.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you so much for being on my show. It was such a pleasure and we learned so much from you. And I truly feel so inspired. I feel more energetic to go about with my own coaching business that I have started.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate, so many podcasters have opened their hearts to me and have allowed me to have this space to speak with people all over the world. And it's such a blessing for me to share these hard-earned nuggets of wisdom with other people, so they don't have to be in that kind of pain to come to the wisdom.
We have beautiful people like you who are sharing so much wisdom with us. We are so honored.
Oh, thank you.
So, to my viewers, I would like to say, if you want to get in touch with Angela, please go and check the description box. I have all her social links, and you can also grab her book. The link is again provided below. So that's all for today from Share It with Ishani. I'm signing off from my podcast. See you next time. Bye-bye.